Good morning and welcome into another edition of Let's Bet It. I'm Alex Glaze with Jared Smith. Jared, listen, it's Wednesday morning, but I'm not going to lie to you. I woke up this morning kind of hoping it was Thursday. Kind of hoping it was Thursday because I don't know if you saw this. We have an absolutely beautiful, beautiful pairing to start the PGA Championship tomorrow. We got Rory McIlroy paired up with Tiger Woods and Jordan Spieth. Could you have put together a better group? I mean, that's going to be a fun Thursday and Friday.
Yeah, I think the PGA scheduling gods knew what they were doing with this one overall. And I checked the weather report, too, for Tulsa, Oklahoma. It ain't going to be nice on Thursday. I saw wind gusts in the morning session are going to be howling in the 30s and 40s. So keep an eye on that. If you're doing any first round leader bets, maybe the afternoon. Well, first of all, continue to check the weather because obviously it could change between now and tomorrow. But maybe the afternoon golfers a better look for first round leader if the wind is whipping around. And it's going to be a beast. As Diane Knox said, her brother Russell is playing in the field this week. And the reports we're getting is that course is going to play long and strong. So you want to stay away from the guys that maybe aren't good off the tee. You want to maybe favor some of the bombers, and obviously Tiger Woods. People keep betting on him regardless of whether or not he's a good fit for this course. We dropped an article on Pickswise.com last night outlining the liability at BetMGM on Tiger Woods. It'll be the biggest loss in the history of the sports book, Alex, if Tiger wins this tournament. That's wild.
You know what? You're talking about guys that are long and strong. I mean, why are we overthinking this thing, right? Scotty Scheffler, strong off the tee, right? Ranks 25th in driving distance, and even better, tee to green. Reaching 72% of greens in regulation. Why are we overthinking this thing? Now, I would say, what is he? 12-1, I believe, to win the whole thing. And
yeah,
I feel
he's the favorite.
He's the favorite. But with the Masters, he was kind of slept on, even as world number one. But I feel like nobody's sleeping on Scotty Scheffler anymore. But let me ask you, if I can ask you, of all the bets to make for the PGA Championship, as we're looking toward this weekend, is there a better one on the board? This is going to sound crazy because you're laying 35 cents. Than Scotty Scheffler top 20? That seems almost like it can't miss, right? Like this, he's been on the record saying this is his favorite course to play. I believe he won a Big 12 championship on this course before the renovations. He loves playing here, and he's playing some of his best golf of his career right now. Like why? How is Scotty Scheffler not going to finish in the top 20?
I do not hate it at all. I think when you look at this team and you look at the Scheffler, build up to what has been now just an incredible run. He was good last week at the Byron Nelson quietly. And he didn't really do much before that after the Masters. So he won the Masters, took some time off, kind of, skated by. I think it was the Zurich Classic when he was teamed up with Ryan Palmer. Didn't really play that well, but that was his first event post-Masters. Now he's building back up to what has been, this is what he is now. I mean, he is a big game golfer. Maybe he's kind of just waiting and buying his time. But yeah, I think he's a good bet this week to be in contention. I don't know if he's going to win it. I think it's tough to win. I think it's really hard to win back-to-back majors. A lot has to go your way. And I don't know if he has that overpowering stuff, but I'd be shocked if he wasn't in contention this week.
Inside the top 10 in each of his two PGA Championship appearances. So he's definitely not going to pucker up in this moment. So definitely going to be a fun weekend of golf, though. But listen, we've got a lot to get to before we can even get to tomorrow. We got a lot to get to today, right? Like, we got baseball games starting up in a couple hours. We're going to have some afternoon baseball. We're going to talk about that Braves-Brewers matchup and better up. Then we're going to bring Scal on, talk some NBA as we get ready for Game 1 of Warriors-Mavericks. Then we're going to talk some Ice Picks as we get ready for that Rangers series to start up. I mean, listen, there's a lot going on in the sports world. Then we're going to finish things off with our plays of the day. So, without further ado, Jared, let's bet it. And let's start with better up. Let's start with baseball. No run first innings, 11-7 yesterday. I feel like maybe this is just me paying too close attention to these numbers, but I feel like no run or yes run. It's been 11-7 the past 3 shows I've done. I don't know why I've noticed that, but I feel like it's been 11-7. That's been the record for the last 3 shows. But no run first inning, 11-7 yesterday, 277 and 271 on the season. And Baltimore and Detroit still struggling. Only scored 3 times in 37 games. So are you looking at any well, you're not looking at any no run first innings, right? You're a yes run first inning guy, right?
Usually I am.
Unless
we
it's
got to
Coors
do
Field. Unless it's Coors Field.
Coors Field, baby. We're going to Coors Field. Before I give you that, I do. So I'm gonna try to put in, when we do these every morning, the streaks, because we know streaks are fun. They don't really mean anything for today's games, but it is worth mentioning. I was really close to getting on the Angels YRFI today because they've had 5 straight YRFIs. But the thing that kept me off it was Ohtani on the mound. And I mean, listen, this guy is unbelievable. And Texas, he has good numbers against Texas in his career, and he's got good YRFI or NRFI numbers in his career as well. So I stayed off of it. It's plus money. It's like plus 115 at MGM. It's a good price for an Angels YRFI today, considering, Dane Dunning on the hill on the other side. But I don't fully feel confident in basically fading Ohtani because he's been so strong this season. So that one maybe would be like a little baby sprinkle, but I'm not full on with the Angels YRFI today. On the other side, the White Sox actually have the longest active NRFI streak at 4 in a row. Greinke Giolito tonight in that matchup for the White Sox against the Royals. I would consider it. Maybe if we do good in the Coors Field, if we do well with Coors Field, maybe we'll add to the White Sox NRFI later. But I will give you officially 1 unit to win 1.3 on the Rockies-Giants NRFI. This is an afternoon game at Coors Field. I got plus 130 over at Bet365. The YRFI at Coors Field this year, 13-8. But it's only up just barely over 1 unit. And that's because the juice, again, on the NRFI is pretty strong. These teams have been, hitting a lot of YRFIs so far in this series. They've hit in both games of their prior 2, 4 out of the last 5, too, for Colorado on this homestand. But the day games today, I just kind of feel like we might get a sleepy start. And after 2 straight YRFIs and a lot of runs over the last 2 games, I kind of just am getting under vibes in this game today, day game at Coors Field. And the one thing that really got me to the window is the price discrepancy. At FanDuel, this is even odds, plus 100. But at Bet365, it's plus 130. FanDuel tends to be a sharper book from what I, gather. So I trust FanDuel being a little more on market with this, and we're getting a good discount and some good plus money over at Bet365. Logan Webb, Kyle Freeland is the pitching matchup. These guys have been kind of average this year. Nothing really to write home about. But I will say with Logan Webb and Freeland, their expected ERAs are both lower than what their actual ERAs are. So maybe they're pitching a little bit better than what the numbers say. So we'll go Colorado, San Francisco, NRFI, plus 130. Coors Field, day game. Let's have some fun.
I like that. All right. So I feel like this is kind of cheating, but I got to go back to the Braves well, right? I mean, the last time I was on the show, gave out Kyle Wright over, 4.5 strikeouts, I think, and he got that in like 4 innings, 5.5 strikeouts, whatever it was. He got it done in 4 innings. He looked incredible, right? Nice little afternoon game on Peacock, like that. Actually, it was a morning game, 11:30. But I'm going back to the Braves today, and I'm looking at Max Fried over 5.5 strikeouts. That number's on the move, actually, because as you mentioned, you got it earlier this morning at even money. Now it's at minus 125. Facing the Brewers this afternoon, it's an early first pitch. I believe 110 is the first pitch here. This is a Brewers team that doesn't strike out a ton, right? They're pretty good at the plate, but they are significantly worse against left-handed pitchers, right? And they really struggled against lefties this season. 320 at-bats, 87 strikeouts, and a 213 average versus lefties. And I'm looking at Max Fried, who's a guy who's got his stuff together, right? He's gone over this number in each of the last 3 outings. I think 4 of his last 5 outings, if you want to go back a little bit further here, including 8 strikeouts against the Brewers just 11 days ago. So I'm looking at Max Fried today, and I believe I will be talking about him a little bit later. But yeah, it's probably my favorite baseball. Probably my favorite baseball play on the board today.
A little tease.
Do you have any other?
I do.
Yeah, a little tease. Tease there. Yeah. What other baseball plays you love?
This has been a bet that I've had some success with this year. We're 2-0 on these bets this year, and we're going to go back to the well today because I see a really good spot I like. the team to score first bet is something that when you have a really solid starting pitcher matchup with the home team, and you feel like the home pitcher will get through the top of the first inning, and then there's a really bad matchup with the road pitcher, you're getting really good odds on the home team to score first. It makes sense. The road team bats first, so you would think that their odds would be slightly tilted. But again, if the matchup favors the home team, especially with the home pitcher being really good in the first inning, I think there's value on the home side here. And that's what I feel today with the Toronto Blue Jays. I laid 35 cents for the Blue Jays to score first at MGM. The pitching matchup today, Marco Gonzalez, Kevin Gausman. I think Kevin Gausman is an AL Cy Young contender. He has been absolutely fantastic so far this season. He is 7-0 to the NRFI. He is not allowed to run in the first inning all year long. And Marco Gonzalez is the opposite of that. He is ERA looks good at 3.38, but the expected ERA at 5.4, and he has allowed a run in the first inning in 3 of his 4 road starts this season. So the game script, Gausman comes out top of the first, puts a bagel on the board, and then we get a chance to win this bet in the bottom of the first with this really good Blue Jays lineup against a very bad Marco Gonzalez. So I'll take the Blue Jays to score first at -135. And I've got to give you a K prop. I've been a little off with the K props lately. I've been misreading the under market of late, but I think I'm going to get back on track tonight with Cal Quantrill. Under 4.5 strikeouts. I got this laying 35 cents at Caesars. Fangraphs hasn't projected for a flat 4. I think that's where his number is probably evenly priced. I think 5 is a little bit too many, considering he's only gone over this, I believe, once all season, or maybe twice. But the real kicker for me here is just his whiff rate, and his K rate is one of the worst in all of baseball. 8th percentile K rate, 4th percentile whiff rate amongst all pitchers, not just starters, but relievers too. And this Reds offense, so it's Reds at Reds at Guardians tonight. And I think this Reds offense is getting a little bit better. They were brutal to start the year, just a miserable offensive team to start the season. But over the last 7 days, their strikeout rate is just 16.5%. Their walk rate is over 11%. And they're 12th in WRC plus, which is kind of that, middle ground there of a team that's slightly above average offensively. So over the last week, I like the numbers for this Reds offense, and Cal Quantrill is a fade, especially with his strikeout numbers based on his stuff so far this season. So we'll go Quantrill under 4.5 Ks later tonight.
Love it. Love it. All right, let's switch gears and talk some hoop as we get ready for game 1 of the Western Conference Finals between the Warriors and Mavericks. The Warriors laying 5 points. Let's bring on Brian Scalabrine to break this one down. And Scal, we were just talking about before the show because you have been red hot with your picks. So I know people are looking forward to hearing what you have to say about this game. But before we get there, your thoughts on your Celtics last night, because first half looked phenomenal. Second half, third quarter was just, I don't even, what happened from your vantage point in that third quarter? Is it just, it was a lot of things happening, but mostly it was just Jimmy Butler taking over.
Yeah. So let me ask you guys a question. So early in the day, I know Smart was questionable, but I thought he was going to play. And then all of a sudden, Al Horford gets banged with protocol, right? So I have a big amount. I am as confident as I ever have been going into this game that the under is going to hit, because both teams are great defensively. Both teams are going to fight for everything on the floor, right? Both teams typically will turn the ball, have a low turnover rate, which won't lead to easy baskets. And I still think that this series is going to play under. I do think moving forward, people might overreact to this. But once I saw the news of no Smart, no Horford, the line goes down on the over-under, just a half a point. But in my mind, it would have went up. I think that the game becomes more wide open. It becomes like a more, like a track meet where you get, pace and space. What would you guys do when that happens? Do you just chalk up the juice that you'll lose and you bet the other way and you just kind of get out of the bet? Because I wasn't really comfortable with my under bet once I saw those two guys were out. What do you do when you find out news like that?
Well, you were in an advantageous position because you bet the under and then the total dropped and you like the over. So
I don't care about Vegas. I care about what I think. I knew that game was going to be enough.
In your mind, the bet changed.
Then in your mind, you go with what you think. Now, sometimes they let you cash out the bets, which I do that all the time, Scal. If you're on one of the online books, FanDuel, DraftKings, MGM, they are very generous. Now, this makes old school Vegas people cringe, and the old school gamblers rolling over in their graves. But imagine walking up to the window, making a bet on the over or the under, and then 5 hours later, hey, I'm just going to give this bet back. Just give me my money back. They let you do that on the books here in Jersey, at least, and I know some of the other states. So that's definitely something to keep in mind. But also, if your handicap changes based off of players in the game, and you're getting a more favorable number, you bet harder on the over than you did on the under, and you come out on top. So I always say trust what you're feeling and hear more so than what the numbers tell you.
Got it.
What did you do? Did you just watch the game kind of sit?
Yeah. What did you bet the over?
Hoped and prayed, and I was like, when are these teams going to start playing defense? And then you saw the third quarter, the Celtics turning the ball over, which led to easy. The way the third quarter unfolded, the defense of the Miami Heat, I fully expected that to happen. But I did not expect the Celtics to give up 39 points in that quarter, right? So I'm looking at it like, okay, well, both defenses, I don't think I'm going to hit I don't think I'm going to hit my under, but both defenses should elevate. And it would be interesting to see what the market is moving forward because it started at 206. Then it goes down to 203.5. Then the news comes out and it goes to 203. I think after watching the higher scoring battle in game one, we might see that uptick, but I just don't like when guys are injured. I just don't like the games because it doesn't, nothing in my mind in that game clicked of what I thought was going to happen once that happened. And I think I was right. I felt like the game was going to unfold completely different. And as far as the Celtics just letting go of the rope in the third quarter, they funneled Tatum. So funneling Tatum means they put a body on him, made Tatum go one direction, and then from there, when things started going sideways, no one was able to take any pressure off of him, including Jaylen Brown, which I thought Jaylen Brown has to be that guy where Tatum can just kick the ball over to him and now he can go to work. But they need Smart, they need Al Horford just to settle down, and probably more so on the road than at home.
Scal, the other thing when I'm looking at this series, and you're talking about putting bets down beforehand, I'd probably wait it out to see how this COVID situation shakes itself out, because I don't know if you saw on social media, but Horford was, practicing with the team in the huddles earlier in the day. So, I mean, you don't know how that thing can affect the team. So I probably am going to end up holding off on a lot of plays for that series until we get the official injury report and find out who's actually going to be going moving forward, at least for game two. Definitely something to keep in mind.
Yeah, and I thought the Celtics would win game one, and then when I found out that news, I bolted on that. I was like, they're not going in to Miami. What I should have done, I should have been rust versus rest. The rust will affect Miami in the first half, and the rest will eventually allow them to take over. So I should have thought about that a lot more. Played Celtics first half, and then played Miami for the game, because just once that happened, and the line didn't shift that much, just 2 points. I thought we were going to go from winning to losing. So that's how much it shifted in my mind when I found out those two guys were out.
Yeah, that was a shocker. And, of course, for our show, when we do it early in the morning, I always tell people the NBA is probably the toughest sport to bet on hours before, because we've seen a lot of – now, the regular season's a lot different. We get a lot more late scratches in the regular season than we do in the postseason. But yesterday was one of those situations where a lot of people were kind of caught left holding the bag, as they say in the crypto world, which is not what you want to be doing. All right, tonight, I'll be honest, your card kind of surprised me a little bit tonight, because I would have expected more under vibes in this series, especially early on, especially how the Warriors have been defending. But you think over is the play, and you like the home team as well tonight.
Wait, I don't think I did a good job on my email. Let me just check. My email, the way I wanted to do it, okay. First of all, I like Draymond Green.
Lay it on us.
All right. So for the game, I like the Warriors to win by more than 5. Okay. I like Draymond Green to go over 7.5 points. And here's the reason why. I think the Mavs are a good defensive team. They guard the ball extremely well. The Warriors don't do isolation. They don't run a lot of pick and rolls. They run, pick and roll to get you in rotation, to get basically ball movement, and to get wide open shots. So I feel like if you have to guard that, all of a sudden you're coming off the Sun series, who move the ball well, but they don't move bodies as well. And now all of a sudden you have to guard like the catch and shoot of the Warriors. It's like one of those things where people think, well, if they're going to have a hard time adjusting to it. And so they play the threes for the Warriors. Well, I actually think the opposite. I think they're going to overreact to guarding shooters. You'll see Draymond Green driving to the basket. All of a sudden the lane will everyone will run to Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, and Jordan Poole. So I like Draymond Green being more aggressive. Plus the fact that Kendrick Perkins called him out. I told you guys about the total on Draymond Green. When Draymond Green got called out by Kendrick Perkins, man, he put up 15, 15, and 8, right? And that's like sometimes like these star players, and he's a pseudo star, right? He's like in my mind, he's a real star for what he does, but sometimes they get reminded, like, man, F that guy. Like they need subtle motivation throughout. If you guys remember The Last Dance, like Michael Jordan's the greatest player in the history of the game. And he always looks for subtle motivation as he goes along. I think Draymond Green getting a little subtle motivation from Kendrick Perkins. I played that in game 6? Was it 6?
Yeah, I mean, you nailed the Draymond prop in the
last
game.
Yeah, when you get a double-double. Yeah.
Completely nailed it. It was over at halftime, basically.
I'm doing the same thing in this game with the overreaction of Dallas to guard shooters. Draymond Green goes over 7.5 points. I think he'll be a little bit more aggressive. And I think, to be honest with you, on the contrary of him calling Kendrick Perkins a big ogre, sometimes like those subtle reminders are ways for you to all right, you know what? I'm going to prove it's not a lot. It's not a big shift. Like Draymond's not going to shoot 25 times a game, but it's just enough to get downhill and make those layups where you're focused and you're like, man, screw that guy. I can't believe he called me out. And you're in this little spat with him. So I like Draymond Green
over. You need 4 buckets. We're talking all this. You need 4 buckets,
or even some free throws, or
or some free throws. Do you think his rebounds and assist prop has any value? Because to me, if his points is going to go over and he's going to be such a big part of the offense, the points, rebounds, and assist prop makes sense at 22.5. Because the points you get more of, you're gonna cut into what he needs, assists, rebounds, but you're also still protected a little bit in case he has like a 15 rebound game, and you don't really need a bunch of points to get across the finish line there. Do you think any vibe on PRA, or is it points or bust for Draymond tonight?
So the problem I have with that one is, what if he gets matched up on Luka Doncic a lot? It's really difficult to guard a guy and then get rebounds, right? So I can see his rebound numbers being down and other guys.
Very good point.
So I'm not saying that that's going to happen. I just really feel that he's going to score like 10 points in this game. I don't. Yeah. I just feel like it's a small bump for Draymond in aggressiveness. And then here's another one I like. I didn't put it down in the email. It's my fault. It's 107, and I'm taking the under in the first half. I do feel
under first half.
This is like a feel out. Like both teams are gonna what is Luka Doncic like, and how are we gonna do this, and then how are we going to attack? I think it's like how you pay $125 and you get a heavyweight fight. In the first round, they barely touch each other. It doesn't mean that fight's going to suck. It just means that eventually they're kind of figuring each other out. Because you could study the film and all that, but I can't see the teams coming out trying to figure out okay, what is this Dallas Maverick defense? What is the weaknesses of it? What is how is Dallas going to guard the Warriors? So there could be some overreaction on that part. So I do like the under. I don't love it. I love the Draymond Green over, and I love the Warriors today. I think the Dallas Mavericks are going to struggle a little bit guarding the Warriors and Chase Center and all that stuff. But I do think it's going to be a drag out series for the first half of game 1.
Yeah, Scal, I'm actually with you with Warriors laying the points today. And I kind of want to bring something up to you because you mentioned, the Chase Center effect and all that stuff. And you can tell me if I'm wrong because you obviously know way more about basketball than I do. I was not impressed with the Mavericks defense. It was just the Suns missing a ton of open looks, at least in game 7, right? And I just really think that maybe their defense is being a little overrated. potentially in this spot.
Well,
I'm looking at this Warriors team. They got the rest. Mavs coming off that tough emotional series, right? And now they got to go on the road. I think this is a Warriors team that's deeper. They can get major contributions from 8, 9 deep, right? And it could be any one of those guys. So I'm looking at this. This is just a better Warriors team and a much different beast than the Suns.
Yeah. So you're kind of right about the Maverick defense. You saw how like Frank Ntilikina, who didn't even knew he was in the NBA, he comes back and he kind of has an impact in the series, right? And then you saw like Jason Kidd is an older point guard. He's been through that, like where he was like went through a whole entire season, being 35, 36, 37 years old, and now people are picking him up full court and he's required to do too much. So I think like Kidd was all over that. And I think the length of the Mavs bothered Booker and Chris Paul. So even though those guys think like I'm open, they're not really open, because when you're playing against a guy with length and you get to a spot and you feel like you have a shot, like knowing a guy that has long arms, like I'm telling you in the NBA, I'll do it right here with the camera, like that's a make and that's a miss. It's so close. And a guy just having like a little bit longer arms could affect you. And I thought that kid did a really good job of keeping length on Paul and Booker. That doesn't work with the Warriors. You got to play with speed. Like they're not going to, Steph Curry rarely now does his isolation dribble through step back. He does them mostly off the catch. Like right before he gets the catch, he'll step away and get space. So it's a very different type of defense. So yeah, I'm with you. Like I think their defense is not overrated. I don't think that. I think it's overrated when it comes to guarding catch and shoot or people who straight line drive. It's Chris Paul and his methodical ways. It's Devin Booker getting in triple threat, and all of a sudden they can use their length. But against the Warriors, that stuff doesn't work. And they're like pop, 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 pop. And next thing you know, wide open shot, you're in scramble mode the whole time. So I'm feeling the Warriors in this game one because I don't think the Mavs will adjust to their defense in game one. But over the series, let's watch this series to see how it unfolds. Let's see what the Mavs have up their sleeve defensively.
It's going to be a fascinating series. Any thoughts for you on this, the Patrick Beverley stuff over the last couple of days with Chris Paul? I'd be remiss not to at least get your opinion, because it does feel like Pat Bev has a little bit of a grudge against CP3,
sure?
and he's just exercising that grudge and not really speaking the truth. What do you think about that whole situation?
All right, let me ask you. So, like, let's say Chris Paul. I mean, let's say Pat Bev says that stuff, and he's like, Chris Paul's a cone and this and that. Like, let's break the numbers down. Chris Paul in the fourth quarter has led the NBA in net rating like the last 3 years. Okay, so in the tightest of moments, he's out there getting stops, net rating, not offensive rating, net rating. And then, and I'm fine with Pat Beverley's, like he gets Chris Paul, like lives, I call him above the law, Chris Paul, like nothing touches him.
Sure.
He bumps the ref, they blame the ref. He goes into the locker room, he's a peacekeeper. Like it's ridiculous, right? But I'm all for Pat Bev being like that and controversial and everything like that. I'm cool. Here's where he lost me. James Harden deserves 5 years, $270 million.
I didn't hear that.
Oh, yeah.
Superman. Super.
Good Lord.
Pat Bev, who's friends with James Harden, says, give this man the Superman.
Yeah,
I'm like, okay, so you're going to sit there and hate on Chris Paul, and you have the right to your own opinion. I know you pushed him in the back, and it's whatever. But don't tell me that James Harden, at 38 years old, should make $65 million. If Pat Bev said, you know what, here's what I would do. And by the way, there's never been a bad contract in the NBA that's 1 year. I don't give Kyrie Irving $100 million in 1 year. It ain't gonna be bad for the team. Like it's eventually you're like, okay, he's coming off the books and we can move on from him, right? So my whole point with these guys like James Harden, if Pat Bev would have said, you know what, just opt into the $47 million and just play it year by year, keep going out there and killing, and every year just give that man $50 million. I would be all for it. I would sign up for that. The fact that you're saying he deserves a 5-year, $270 million contract extension, like at that point, that means I'm going to turn off the TV and I'm going to go outside and enjoy some sun because you're wasting my time. I'm not here for your propaganda or your agenda. I'm not. Yeah. I'm here for some information. But you tell me one, Chris Paul, who had the best record, James Harden had an awful year this year. He deserves it, and this guy sucks. I'm off that. I'm off that.
Awesome. Well, Scal, really appreciate your time as always, and I'm sure we're going to be talking to you plenty throughout this week, right? Do we have you on? Hold on.
Draymond.
I got to know. Hold on. I need to know how the Costco run went. The other week, right?
Yeah. Under. We went under. Yeah.
Under. Okay.
Yeah, because
Nice.
when my wife went away, I bought a bunch of steaks. You know, when I go to Costco, I buy them big packs of steaks. You know, let me just show you, right? And those are like $150. So when you don't buy those things, you know, we went under. And she didn't buy any lamps or coffee makers. We were good. It's not a bad trip.
There we go. So, tunnel vision. Just got winning, got what you needed. It's a rare Costco trip. A rare Costco.
Hey, in the playoffs, you got to give the ball to the superstars. You can't be like playing through your role players.
There we go.
You got to be efficient. Yeah, it's a playoffs. You got to get. Can't be wasting time at Costco. You know.
Awesome, Scott. Well, appreciate you as always. Talk to you soon.
You got it, guys. Enjoy the show.
Scal always bringing
the heat.
Great wealth of knowledge and explaining how to stay focused in Costco, because it can be tough sometimes.
That's tough. That's like me in Target, bro. I live across the street from a Target. I'll just walk in there sometimes without even planning on buying anything, and I'll drop 100 bones.
That's rough. Yeah, you can't do that. Not with inflation the way it is right now.
No,
all right, let's switch gears. Not in this economy. Talk some NHL. Talk about this overtime challenge. 3 of the last 4 games have gone to overtime. Are you picking up a little bit of steam? Do you think there's some momentum in your favor? Yeah.
We're picking up some steam. There was a good question in the chat about the NBA that I wanted to get to before we get to the OT challenge. Alan, God bless you, Alan. Thank you for this question. He has a 10-team parlay, and the Mavs are the last leg. Yeah, Alan, I would bet the Warriors tonight, bud. I don't know how much the parlay is for, but let's say it's $100 to win a 10-team parlay, a lot, probably 4 figures, you know, at least $1,000 or $2. I would absolutely take a slice of the Warriors tonight and maybe bet the money line, and maybe you get a middle, but that's obviously a more riskier play. If you just want to take a little bit off the top, I would bet at least 10 or 20% what the parlay is going to pay out, and I would bet the Warriors -5. All right, overtime challenge. 3 of the last 4 games have gone to overtime. Don't look now, but we are up. So we're only betting this for 0.1 units a night, but we're up like almost a full unit over the last 3 days. So that's a pretty good little burst of profit here. Still down for the postseason. 9 out of 53 games have gone to overtime, which is just under 17%. Last year, that number was 32%. And again, these are about 3-1 every night. I got 4-1 on the Abs last night. Yeah, the Abs last night was a big one. Plus 400.
What are you down right now overall, though? If you were
1 unit for, and I bet on all 53 games, and I'm down 1 unit.
Down 1 unit
on 0.1 units a night. And listen, honestly, is this going to be profitable at the end of the rainbow? Maybe, maybe not. The last 2 nights have gotten it closer to now where we have a chance for this to be profitable. But we have made a wager on all 53 NHL postseason games, and we are down a unit in 3 weeks. So I'm having fun. I hope you guys are having fun. The last few nights have been fun. And we're going to do it again tonight with the Rangers, Canes, and Oilers, Flames.
Good Lord, you're just a kid on a roller coaster. Just a roller coaster.
Well, not even a roller coaster. The last 5 minutes of watching the time is exciting when you have an overtime bet. It's exciting.
Absolutely. Well, playoff hockey in general is exciting. All right, let's start with this Rangers Canes game, right? Because I think we're both on the same side of this on the Hurricanes 3-way money line. For me, I'll start because when I'm looking at this Rangers team, right? I mean, I think we both like the Rangers, right? To a certain extent, but not in this game at least. It's tough for me to back the Rangers tonight, as crazy as it sounds, because of Igor Shesterkin. Jeez, I can't speak right now. this postseason, I don't know what's up with him. I don't know if it's what's in front of him not working. I don't know what's going on with him. But just a .91 save percentage in this series against the Pens. Got pulled twice in the series. 366 gold allowed average. The Rangers need Shesterkin to be right to have a chance in this series, right? Because I'll tell you what, this Hurricanes offense is nothing to play with, right? And I'm looking at how he has played against the Canes this season. 883 save percentage in 2 regular season games. They lost both of those games. Not that that's completely on him, but I just think this is when you combine all that information and just look at how dominant the Canes have been at home this season. 29-8-4 home record during the regular season. Won each of their first round home games and outscored the Bruins 18-6 playing at home. I just think this is a bad spot for the Rangers, at least in game 1. I got to go with the Canes. I think they can get it done in regulation, get a little extra value at -105. They got one of the best offenses in hockey, and the Rangers just don't. Their offense actually had the worst expected goals rating in the first round. So I think this is just not a good matchup for the Rangers tonight.
Agreed, 100%. The thing that really jumped out to me, and again, this statistic doesn't have a ton to do with this particular team, but overall, the Rangers' game 1 stats on the road in the history of the Rangers franchise is awful. 20 wins, 42 losses, and 4 ties. Game 1 on the road. And again, not this team, obviously, that doesn't apply because game 1 was at home against the Pens, and that was their only playoff series. But when you look big picture at this Rangers franchise, they have not performed well game 1s on the road. And the pitching matchup, the goalie matchup here, it might actually favor Antti Raanta on home ice, especially if things start poorly for the Rangers and Shesterkin gets in his own noggin here. And you've also got the revenge factor with Raanta being a former Rangers goaltender. And then the last thing I'll say on the Canes at home, they are the best home team in the NHL in terms of fewest goals allowed per game, 2.1 on the season, and they only gave up 1. Two. They gave up 2 in that game 7 against the Bruins. And they were in control of that game basically from the start. A late goal made it closer than what the scoreline was, which was 3-2. And I think Carolina, begrudgingly, because I'm a big Rangers fan, I do think they get off to a good start tonight.
Yeah. All right. Well, we're on the same page with that one. Oilers Flames. Both of us are passing on this one, but there is a play on the website that we can talk about, right, for this game?
Yeah, there's a 3-star play on the total in this game. I won't give it away. I'll make you go check it out over at Pickswise.com. It is Josh Wagner is the handicapper that has a total on this game. The one thing I will say about this series, I'm probably not going to bet this series a ton. I've got my biggest futures position left is on the Flames at 20-1 to win the Cup. So I am very excited to watch this Calgary team. I think they're going to win the series. I hope they're going to win the series. The one thing that scares me a little bit is they just played a really knockdown, drag-out series against Dallas. Very low-scoring series. Calgary only gave up 5 goals in the 4 home games they played. It was a physical series. Dallas is a tough-nosed, experienced team. Edmonton isn't that. Edmonton's more wide open, less playoff experience, a little more run and gun. Calgary is that, and I think Calgary's offense will be better in this series. Wink, wink about what the 3-star play is on the site. But I'm a little worried about game to game. I could see them being a little flat in game 1 after a really tough physical series. So I would actually lean Edmonton tonight, catching a big plus money price. And I do expect the series to be more wide open, but I'm hoping that our Flames futures ticket lives on for another round, and then we'll see what happens against probably Colorado in the West Final. But no play for me tonight on this game, just hoping for a Calgary win.
Well, that's a 3-star play on the website, so make sure you head over to Pickswise.com and check that out. And make sure you're also subscribing to the Pickswise morning newsletter, Wise and Shine. It's free and provides everything you need to know to start your day of betting, and it's just in one email. So if you click the link in the description on this YouTube stream, if you're watching on YouTube right now, that will sign you right up. And you definitely don't want to miss out on any of the great information that our handicappers over at Pickswise are doing daily to put out some great picks. All right, Jared, let's get out of here with our plays of the day. Let you go first. What you got? What you got for the people?
Yeah, I apologize. They just had an announcement over the loudspeaker in my apartment. So if the fire alarm, I think they're testing the fire alarm this morning. So if the fire alarm goes off in the middle of this handicap, I apologize. Hopefully it doesn't. But I think this is an easy one for me. Again, Carolina is, I think it's fair to say Carolina is the best home team in the NHL. And the Rangers have really struggled in game ones on the road. I think the goaltender matchup, while on paper, Igor Shesterkin is better, Vezina Trophy likely winner. I think Antti Ranta's got a little something to prove. Former Ranger, got traded away a few years ago, and now he's really found a home with Carolina. This Canes team is a beast at home. They won all 4 home games in the series against Boston. I expect them to win this game tonight. I like the splits too. The percentage of bets are relatively even on the money line, but majority of handle is on Carolina. That means the sharper bets, the bigger bets, I think are on the Canes tonight. We're going to decrease that juice by playing them on the 3-way money line at -105. And I think I'm coming off of a loss on my POD. The Kikuchi was a dud the other night. So we're trying to get back on track tonight with the Canes 3-way money line, laying 5 cents at MGM.
Oh man, I'm looking to make it 3 in a row here. Now that
you're hot right now. You're hot.
So yeah, and my last one that hit was Kyle Wright strikeout props. So I'm going with another Braves pitcher today. Max Fried over 5.5 strikeouts facing the Brewers this afternoon. First pitch, just a couple hours. The Brewers have really struggled against lefties this season. They don't strike out a ton, but for whatever reason, they can't figure out the lefties just quite yet. Max Fried has gone over this number in his last 3 outings and 4 of the last 5, including an 8 strikeout performance against the Brewers just 11 days ago. So I like Max Fried over 5.5 strikeouts this afternoon. I'm going to get in and get out. I'm going to hopefully cash my play of the day before the evening slate, so I can maybe get a little Peloton ride in and then enjoy the evening of sports here, because this is definitely a dual screen situation, right? Moving for the next week or so, right? Week and a half.
Probably. Yeah, the next 4 days are going to be, good luck. And the PGA also, the time slot, central time zone's really good because it'll be going a little bit later into the evening. Like the tee times will be an hour later for us on the East Coast. So we'll get 7, 8 o'clock Eastern finishes on Saturday and Sunday probably. So very exciting stuff with the PGA Championship this weekend. And be sure to check the website. Diane's got a bunch of good picks on there, and she's really good at this. So I would tail her.
We have one question for you, Jared, before we go from
what we got?
From Jalen. Jared, quick pick on the Europa final from Jalen.
Oh, that's right. The Europa is today. I haven't looked, but I will say this. Our friends over at Racing Post, which, again, if you're familiar with Spotlight Sports Group, Racing Post is the European version of Pickswise. They do a really good job. Dan Childs, I was reading his write-up. Dan Childs, I had a meeting with him a few weeks ago. He's one of the best football handicappers. That's what they call it over there, right? That we have over at Spotlight. And he likes the Rangers, draw no bet. So we're not betting on the New York Rangers tonight, but we can bet on the Rangers out of Scotland. They're in the Scottish Premiership. They're facing Frankfurt out of the Bundesliga. So he's got a Rangers draw no bet. Just 1 unit, nothing crazy. But that is his best bet of this game. I think it's a 3 o'clock Eastern start. Yes, 3 o'clock Eastern, Europa League playoffs. It is actually a pretty important match because the winner of the Europa League gets to a ticket into the Champions League. So this is a match that will be top lineups, top billing. And I think the Rangers, I don't know if they're the Rangers. I think it's just Rangers. Are the draw no bet play from Dan Childs today. But that's just a tale, nothing official for me. But thank you very much for the question.
There we go. All right, well, that'll do it for us today. Make sure you head over to the Pickswise Twitter page, Pickswise website, subscribe to the YouTube channel as well so you don't want to miss out on any of the action. We do the show every day at 10 a.m. unless Jared and Lauren decide to take a trip to the West Coast, do the show from the beach. But most days, we're here at 10 a.m. That'll do it for us. We'll be back tomorrow. Good luck with your bets.